This is episode 354 of the Super League Pod. We recap round 23 of Super League with your fan match reviews. It's kind of a losers pod this week, with both host teams on the wrong end of things in their games, and a good representation from the losing Giants and Hull FC fans in their reviews too. More fan bases start to look to next year with optimism, but this year isn't done yet either, as we give our latest guesses on how things will shake out. Plus, make your guesses now for which ref came in for the most flack in the fan views this week. It's unfortunately quite an open race. Strap in, it's SLP time. Hello listeners, welcome along to episode 354 of the Super League Pod. This week it is Double Losers Corner, but a bonus guest host in Double Losers Corner. So you got myself, Mark, and I'm joined by our best favourite Hull KR fan, Tom. Welcome along to the show, Tom.
Thanks for having me. I think I'm the only Hull KR fan who takes part, but
you're certainly the most regular. That's true to say. Welcome back. You've been on the show when we had our lockdown shows where we talked about anything and everything just to make sure we had conversations with people outside of our own houses. You and your Mrs. Page were on with us a show back then, weren't you? You're a veteran now of SLP. What I'll do is I'll call out our sponsor first of all, and then we'll get to know you a little bit better for people who aren't fully aware of your work and your wit. So, Super League Pod is supported by Rob's Megastore. Rob's Megastore stocks a wide variety of toys, stationery, arts and crafts ideas, pet accessories, books, and of course Rugby League birthday cards. Search Rob's Megastore on eBay or find the link in our episode blog post on superleaguepod.com. And SLP listeners can use the code SLP10, that's SLP10, at checkout to get 10% off any orders over £5, or enter SLP discount instead and give your 10% towards funding SLP's running costs instead. So thanks to Rob's Megastore for their continued support. So coming up on the show, we're going to start with a couple of bits of news that just didn't fit anywhere else in the show really. Then we've got round 23 match reviews, fan reviews in on all the games. That's what we love to see. We'll cover off all the bits and pieces of news, other results, etc. from around the world of rugby league. And Tom, you'll get to embarrass yourself by making guesses for next week's games. But I thought it'd be nice to let people know a little bit about yourself, your rugby league credentials, like how you became to be a Hull KR fan, and how you came to be an SLP listener as well.
Yeah, I was sort of born into being a Hull KR fan. I'm sort of third generation, I think, Hull KR fan. My great uncle actually holds the unofficial record of being the longest ever KR supporter at 96 years. He lived to 102. Then it was obviously passed down to my dad, and he took me on the pitch when I was a wee baby, and he was the pitch announcer then. Then as I got older, I had a little football phase, but then drifted back towards rugby league, and I've been a pass holder for about 15 years now.
That's great. And for people that don't know, Tom's part of a double act. A double act that we only hear from one side of more than the other, compared to what it used to be like. Probably because she's been busy bringing all your kids into the world, Tom. But
she's just not funny as me, so if you can ever think of what to put.
But Paige is a Hull FC fan, so tell us a little bit about how that works, and have you decided which of your two children is going to support which team yet?
It's normally quite amicable, apart from 2 or 3 days a year. We both season pass holders. We both go to our separate games on our separate days. With regards to the kids, I think Blake's picked on his own accord, with only a minor bribery, to be a KR supporter. Lily's only 15 months old, so she's not picked yet, but I think Paige is going to lean towards stealing that one.
Fair enough. Well, it must be amicable, because people who've listened before will find out that you had your first date on a derby day, didn't you? So yes. It was never going to get more potentially fractious as at that very early stage. So obviously it's working out really well for the both of you. And obviously the kids now are going to have that same battle, I guess, battle lines drawn as they grow up. Good stuff. Right, well, let's start with a couple of bits of news. So, the first thing to talk about is the Challenge Cup news. So the Challenge Cup's going to return to Wembley in 2023 after 1 year at Tottenham. And for the first time, the Betfred Women's Challenge Cup final will be played as part of the showpiece occasion. So the men's Challenge Cup final, that'll be the 122nd in the competition's history, and the 80th at Wembley Stadium. And then the women's competition is only in its 11th year, but this will be the first to play played at Wembley. So it's got to the National Stadium a lot quicker than the men's Challenge Cup did. The AB Sundex 1895 Cup final and the Year 7's Champions School final will also be part of a finals day. So it's potentially 4 games, 4 full games there. That's a big day of rugby league in Wembley Stadium. What did you make of this? What we expected? Do you think it's a good move that the women's final's been given more prominence?
I didn't go to Tottenham, so I can't really comment how good or bad that was compared to Wembley. But I do like the idea of having 3 or 4 games at one stadium. It gives it sort of like a magic weekend vibe, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and we see this a lot at the moment, don't we? Multi-game events trying to maybe help that pad the crowds out, because we've seen people drift away from the Challenge Cup final as an event with the other events that seem to happen. So I am all for it. One thing I would say is hopefully they let us go in and out of the stadium.
Yes.
Because they need to have some sort of provision around that. I mean, Wembley's a big stadium, but I mean, for a start, it costs an absolute bomb to eat in there. But also, just I think people cooped up for that long, they might not get what they want out of that. So you might still see people only going for 1 or 2 of the games. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. I think it's a positive that the women's final is being given this prominence. Hopefully that'll continue to grow, and events like this must move towards them being able to get some sort of share in prize money and that sort of stuff that can keep advancing the women's game. That's what I would hope is the next thing that comes out of moving it to be part of an occasion like this. So we'll hopefully see that. It's worked well when it's been with the semi-finals, the men's semi-finals. I think maybe they could have, I don't know, maybe moved it up the bill there to maybe put it in the middle and then see if it needed to be the headline slot in that day before moving it to Wembley. But I think the women will be delighted that they're going to be at Wembley Stadium. It's going to be amazing for them. So yeah, that's, I'd say, good news.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Good news.
So, a lot of the men's teams and players like from Australia say they dream of playing at Wembley as well, so I can imagine it's the same for the women's game as well.
Yeah, exactly. It's got that iconic nature to it, hasn't it? That whilst they will appreciate you playing at places like Bolton and Ellen Road, it's not quite the same.
It doesn't have the same ring to it, does it?
No, exactly. For a start, you have to remember who sponsors the Bolton Stadium each time you play there. Okay. From that positive news, there has been some sad news this week that's gone down in rugby league about Paul Green. So the Australian Rugby League coach and former player Paul Green died at the age of 49. Green guided North Queensland Cowboys to their first NRL Premiership title in 2015. He also coached the Queensland side in State of Origin in 2021. As a player, he made 162 appearances across 5 different clubs in a 10-year career before retiring in 2004. Green, who was born in Brisbane, broke a number of records during his 6-year spell as Cowboys coach, including having led the side to their best ever defensive campaign in 2016. He left the Cowboys in 2020 following a club record 87 wins in 167 games. I think you got to say better than 1 in 2. That's a positive record that he left there with, and a grand final premiership as well, and of course the World Cup challenge that came off the back of that at Leeds as well. Karsten got in touch. Do you want to read out what Karsten said, Tom?
Yeah, so Karsten says, what a shame. He made himself an immortal in the eyes of the Cowboys supporters in 2015 as the maiden premiership winning coach. He gave a debut to players like Michael Morgan, Kyle Felt, and Jason Taumalolo. I may have butchered that name. Gone by himself way too early. Paul Green, Cowboy number 92.
Yeah, and obviously Carson, being a Cowboys fan, is the perfect person to give a tribute to Paul Green. So I think terribly sad news, really upsetting stuff. Touched a lot of people in rugby league, hasn't it, in the last week. I don't really know what else to say other than it's absolutely devastating.
49's a young age for anybody, isn't it? It's, regardless of how famous or not famous you are, it's tragic.
Yeah, definitely. So, as always with this kind of sad thing, our absolute best and well wishes and condolences go out to Paul Green's family. Rest in peace, Paul Green.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Okay, so if you want to get in touch with us and get involved in the show, you can do that in lots of different ways. On social media, it's at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/Super League Pod. You can email superleaguepod@gmail.com or visit superleaguepod.com to get the info on each episode and links to the Google Forms for your fan views so that we can share and discuss on the show, as we're going to go on to do soon. Don't forget to subscribe on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on and leave a rating and review if you can. Right, Tom, let's get into it. Let's jump to the Super League match reviews.
So.
So it was round 23 of Super League, and start with what was maybe the game of the round, certainly a game that had a lot of significance on it going into the round. Warrington hosting Toulouse on Thursday night. It was actually 18-14 to the visiting Toulouse Olympique at half-time, but Warrington staged a comeback. They won the game 32 points to 18. 9,199 was the crowd. Jack Smith was the referee. In terms of the team stats, Wire had more ball, made more meters and more breaks. Although they made 4 more errors, Warrington did, Toulouse gave up 9 more penalties as they lost their discipline and lost the match. What about the individuals, Tom?
Yep, so for the winning team, it was Ben Curry with 1 try, 149 metres. Matt Duffy with 2 try assists, 10 tackle busts, 144 metres. Peter Matawiya with 1 try assist, 131 metres. And Rob Mulhern with 126 metres. And for the losing Toulouse side, it's Latrell Shumkel, I don't know if that's how you say that name, with 132 metres.
It could be.
Ollie Ashelbot with 7 tackle busts and 108 metres. And Daniel Alvaro with 51 tackles, 13 marker tackles, and 106 metres.
Yeah, no missed tackles from Alvaro either. I think he played 78 minutes or about 70 minutes before they took him off, I think. Maybe he played the whole game, actually. I'm not entirely sure. I noticed he played the first full 40. It was pretty hot, weren't it, this week?
Yeah.
That effort to go both ways like that, pretty outstanding from Daniel Alvaro, I'd say. In the fan views, Brandon got the first one in B. Dawson 1902. He said, Chris Kendall, that is all. I think we'll talk about Chris Kendall more when we go through more of the fan views. Let's see what happens.
The EF78JU says, that was some night to return to the Halliwell Jones to actually watch live rugby league since January 2020. At least we got the win and went 6 points clear in the battle, leaving both Toulouse and Wakey to fight it out until one of them is down, which is not likely to lose Olympique.
I think he's meant to say there.
Okay, most likely to lose Olympique. Since the one loss away, Wire were on fire until Olympique struck back to take the lead into halftime, and they Primrose and Blue Boys won it late.
I don't know if what AFC is saying there is it was his first game in person at the Halliwell Jones since Jan 2020, or if what they're saying is it was the first time Warrington turned up.
Both equally possible.
John said, realised at halftime I was watching Comedy Central, so I switched channel. Only just realised that I had switched to the Chris Kendall show for the second half, for fuck's sake.
Matt Speakman, you have to feel for Toulouse. Never had a level playing field recruitment-wise, and they've lost 2 stars in either season. Gave it absolutely everything, and then again have been harshly treated tonight. 2 incredibly soft yellows and a Kendall crucifying them with countless penalties and 6 against very harshly.